Presented by the 2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
About 90 minutes ago, you wouldn't have said it was a very nice night in Queens, New York, but now the weather system has moved off. The sun is shining. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful evening for baseball at Citi Field. The second of two games here against National League opposition before the Mets and Blue Jays head north of the border. John Gibbons, who's managing in his 1,000th Major League game and has had a pretty good run the last 20, 15-5. The ERA 337. Home runs, 31 of them. Team's been hitting.
Yeah, they've been hitting. They're outscoring the opposition by 56 runs in the last 20. A nice 15-5 record. Time to get back on it tonight. You mentioned Gibby, his 1,000th Major League game. It all started back in New York when he was first named manager of the Toronto Blue Jays.
So this is what his 1,000th lineup card looks like for Gibby. He'll go with Jose Reyes at the top of the order. The former New York Mets, still a fan favorite here. Josh Donaldson, number 2 in the order. Donaldson in his last 19 games is hitting .341 with 8 homers and 17 runs batted in. Jose Bautista is in right. Edwin Encarnacion is at first. For Edwin, he's got an 8-game hitting streak going right now, 10 for 28. 5 runs batted in. Colabello's in left. Russell Martin returns behind the plate. Ezekiel Carrera takes a turn at center. Kevin Pillar gets a day off. Ryan Goins at second. And Scott Copeland, the young man, is on the mound.
Well, that is the lineup that Matt Harvey gets to face tonight. And I'm telling you, we saw a special one in last night's ball game in Noah Syndergaard, just 22 years old. Matt Harvey is just 26 years old. He turned 26 during spring training this season. He was the Mets' #1 pick, 7th overall in that loaded, and I mean loaded, 2010 draft. And he has zoomed straight to the big leagues. 6'4", 217 pounds. He's going to pitch on 5 days rest for the second consecutive start for the Mets. He's trying to slow down the innings this year. Losses in 3 of his last 4 starts and a .720 earned run average. They have some concern from the Mets with those numbers for Matt Harvey. He had Tommy John surgery in October of 2013, missed all of last season. And now they're just trying to monitor him as he comes back after that Tommy John surgery. He's had trouble keeping the ball in the ballpark. He's given up 8 home runs in his last 4 starts, but he is a special pitcher, and the Blue Jays are in tough just like they were in last night's ball game.
So Harvey will lean on his defense. Left field, it's Daryl Siciliani. Juan Legares is in center. Curtis Granderson gets a start in right. In the infield, Ruben Tejada is at third. Wilmer Flores, who drove in the winning run in extra innings last night, is at short. Dilson Herrera at second. Lucas Duda is at first. Matt Harvey on the mound, throwing to former Blue Jay prospect Travis d'Arnaud, and he has impressed a lot of people in the Mets and Mets fans.
Yeah, he certainly has with the bat, but behind the plate, he's just coming off the disabled list. He fractured a pinky after he was hit by a pitch, and the plan for him now is to play 2 straight days and then off. He last played on Sunday, so he gets to catch Matt Harvey tonight and play against his former mates. He came over from Philadelphia to Toronto in the Roy Halladay deal, and of course, d'Arnaud went to the Mets in the R.A. Dickey deal.
Blue Jays' 11-game win streak came to an end last night in extra innings. So they are 11-1 in their last 12 games, 14-19 on the road, and a surprising number, they are 0-10 at Shea/Citi Field.
Playing in Queens. I can't believe that when I saw that number.
Jose Reyes steps in, looks at a strike, and this ball game is underway. Ball is away. There are a lot of number 33s in the crowd. A lot of people have taken to Matt Harvey. And just taking a look around the crowd, he's done pretty well. Jersey sales.
What to expect from Matt Harvey? You're going to expect a good fastball. It's up there, back miles per hour, back up to where he was pre-surgery. But right now, the command just hasn't been there. We mentioned the home runs that he has given up, 8 over his last 4 starts. And he himself says, you know, I've been throwing pitches right down the middle. I have not been able to command my pitches like I had before the surgery.
2-2 pitch. Reyes gets under it. Coming in, both Flores and Herrera, and Flores makes the play.
Let's take a look at the scouting report for 26-year-old Matt Harvey. This is what he features. How about that fastball? He's going to throw it about 59% of the time, but check out that miles per hour. 96 miles per hour, the highest average fastball velocity this season, minimum 500 throws. He'll mix in a curveball, a slider, and a changeup, but it's that fastball that is very special. He has the fewest innings per pitch per innings this season.
And he's facing Josh Donaldson. I find it interesting that his other 3 pitchers are all over 10%, so he does mix it all up.
He'll mix it up, and they're all above average also.
Donaldson hitting .309. And he goes after one of those other pitches, the slider.
Still 90 miles an hour on that breaking ball for Matt Harvey. He works quickly, throws a lot of strikes. Only Bartolo Colon and Mark Burley have fewer pitches per inning this season than Matt Harvey.
Donaldson sends it foul down the third baseline. Oh, they've switched it up there. Tim Leeper's the third base coach. Donaldson takes up high. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and there was the fastball, and that one clicked in at 98. Watch that into the glove.
Check out that one, 99 miles an hour from Harvey. He's got that ability to dial it up when he needs to. And that was in a pretty good place.
3-2. Donaldson reaches out, pokes it into right field. Backing up is Granderson. He'll make the second out of the inning. Well, coming to the plate now is Jose Bautista, and he was the offensive punch last night.
You and I were in the booth here when Pete Hernandez stopped by and said he's never seen somebody this quick on the inner half. That was a 98-mile-an-hour fastball that he turned around on Syndergaard. And then off of Familia, another 97-mile-an-hour pitch on the inner half. So quick with that bat, he just drills it out of here.
Left the park, both of them left in a hurry.
So I don't think we're going to see the Mets try and pitch him inside anymore the rest of this series.
And Harvey started with a curveball outside, yeah.
Yeah, that's where teams that have faced Bautista in the past have lived against him this year, away. A lot of off-speed pitches, especially the hard-throwing right-handers we have seen this year. Michael Pineda and Chris Archer, those type of pitchers. Those elite big right-handers with the big fastball and the big slider, they have kept the ball away from Jose.
Oh, that one just went south in a hurry, didn't it? Boom, that pitch.
I'm glad you took a little something off of that one.
Two-one. And this one, ground ball to second. Herrera makes the throw over to Duda at first, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Matt Harvey. Get a look at Scott Copeland when we come back. set to face Scott Copeland, and here's the lineup for the New York Mets. Leading off is Curtis Granderson. And Granderson in his past 11 games on a pretty good tear, hitting .350, 2 homers, 4 runs batted in. Lucas Duda will follow Juan Lagares. Travis d'Arnaud hits in the number 4 spot. He is behind the plate. 6 games, 8 for 24 during this streak, 2 homers, 6 runs batted in. Wilmer Flores, the shortstop. Daryl Siciliani is the left fielder. Ruben Tejada at third. Gilson Herrera at second. And Matt Harvey on the mound facing Scott Copeland.
Recalled from AAA to make another start for the Blue Jays. Again, in Aaron Sanchez's spot in the rotation after Sanchez was placed on the disabled list with that sore shoulder. There are his numbers in 3 games this year. Performance by Copeland might have influenced the Blue Jays, I think, a little bit in decision to bring him back up to pitch in Aaron's spot.
This one a fly ball, and it's in shallow left, calling everybody off. Third baseman Josh Donaldson, and he makes the play. Josh Donaldson working at third base. Let's look at the defense for Toronto. Chris Colabello is in left. Ezequiel Carrera gets a start in centers. They give Kevin Pillar a rest. Jose Bautista in right. Donaldson, who just made the play at third. Reyes, the shortstop. Goins at second. And Encarnacion is at first behind the plate. Russell Martin catching Copeland. 27-year-old deals a strike.
And you mentioned that Pillar is getting the day off. Carrera last started in center field in Washington. If you remember that, game 1 of that doubleheader on June the 2nd. This is his 3rd start in center field for the Blue Jays.
John Gibbons told us that with the fact that they're on a tough stretch right now and don't get a day off till a week Thursday, he's going to try to spot some guys and get them some rest.
Yeah, not just Kevin Pillar. He's going to take the next couple of days to try and get guys off their feet and give them a break.
Ground ball to Reyes. Snaps it over to first. 2 down.
Let's take a look at the scouting report for tonight's starter for the Toronto Blue Jays, Scott Copeland. He is a sinker ball type of pitcher. The fastball just 90 miles an hour, but he throws it to both sides of the plate. He's got a lot of movement on it. He'll mix in the slider, the changeup, and the curveball. But what's impressive with Copeland, especially in his last start, is how he pounded that strike zone. He's not afraid to throw the ball over. He got 12 ground ball outs out of the 21 outs that he recorded against Miami.
And that's what Greg Zahn said. He thought the key to success was for Copeland against Miami is he got it into the strike zone. Lucas Duda steps in, hitting .281. Sends it foul down the left side and into the seats. Mets still are first in the National League East. They're 5-5 in their last 10. 35-30 their record. Slider misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's the skipper. I know that you had a lot of fun with your waitress at breakfast today, who was a diehard Mets fan. She was really busting you. And there's a base hit to center field by Duda. 2-out single.
Duda just keeps on hitting. He's had 3 straight multi-hit games, 29 extra base hits, and of course he was the guy with the big hit in last night's game for the Mets. That's a curveball that just hangs over the middle of the plate. Doesn't hit it very well. Hits it right off the end of the bat, but finds some turf into the outfield for the base hit.
And now a look at Travis d'Arnaud, hitting .310, 3 homers, 14 runs batted in. Ground ball, backhanded by Donaldson, throws the second for the force, and that's all for the Mets in the first. 1 inning done. 0s on the board and a hit for the Mets.
putting a lot of money and draft picks in young arms, and that's exactly what the Mets have done. We saw Noah Syndergaard last night, 22 years old. Jacob deGrom, who might be the best of them, is very young, and Matt Harvey just 26 years old. And it doesn't stop there for the New York Mets. They've got a couple other ones. Steven Matz is in AAA, just 24 years old. He's tearing it up. Zach Wheeler, he is out this year. He's had Tommy John surgery. He's 25 years old. I mean, this team is just loaded. The whole organization is loaded with starting pitching up and down the lineup. And I'll tell you, if you want to turn your fortunes around, pin it on some young pitching, and the Mets have done that.
Encarnacion, Colabello, and Martin to face Harvey in the top of the second. Edwin with an 8-game hitting streak. Takes up high. Mike Machlinsky is the home plate umpire. Encarnacion slashes that into left field. That drops in. Encarnacion makes the big turn. He's headed for second. Slides in safely. He was thinking double all the way.
Yeah, he is a good base runner. When you hit the ball like that down the left field line, you've got to be thinking two as soon as you hit it. And that's what Edwin did. It's a hanging breaking ball, and he smokes it into left field. Siciliani does a good job of cutting the ball off, but he's just too far away to get Edwin at second base. A leadoff double for the Blue Jays. And that's how you get the second inning started with extra bases.
And a 9-gamer for Edwin. Colabello looks at the slider for strike. Colabello 2 for 5 in last night's game. He's hit safely in 31 of his 37 games. Off-speed pitch, curveball for strike 2.
He's got ways to get you out, Matt Harvey. You always have to respect that fastball. When he starts dropping that thing in there, that off-speed pitch like that, a breaking ball, curveball, batters are hitting 136 against that curveball this year for Matt Harvey.
Takes ball 1. It is humid here tonight, about 23 degrees Celsius. Rain has pushed through and sun is shining. They had the tarp on until the last possible moment. Colabello fouls it back.
You know, as a major league hitter, you might get one pitch to hit per at bat because they're so good and they throw so hard. That might have been the pitch right there. It was a 2-strike pitch from Matt Harvey. It looked like he wanted to go upstairs, missed his spot, but Colabello missed the pitch. Now you got to really battle. You're not trying to advance the runner right now. You're just trying to survive.
Encarnacion is at second. Infield is back. Edwin's got lots of room to work with. The 1-2. He offered at it. No, says Sean Barber. Barber filling in for Marty Foster. Foster took a shot right in the mask. 98-mile-an-hour fastball that Donaldson just got enough of it to deflect it back, and he did not finish the game. Mike Winters finished behind the plate, and Barber's been called into service. The 2-2. Roller. The short. They go to third. And they get Encarnacion. Heads up play by Flores to get Encarnacion.
And a mistake right there. Base running. You're already in scoring position. You got to make sure that ball is to your left. You don't see Edwin Encarnacion make that many mistakes. That ball is to his right, and it's an easy play for the Mets, who record the out over at third base. I've been in that situation before. You get out into no man's land and the ball's almost right at you, and you have to make a quick decision. There's the wrong one right there, as Encarnacion is easily tagged out at third base.
Russell Martin appeared as a pinch hitter last night. Got an at-bat in the 10th. In the 9th, rather. Wow. Catches the outside corner.
Two pretty good pitches. The problem that Harvey was having in his last couple of starts is his command of his fastball. He was talking about that he was shooting for the corners and the ball was ending up in the middle of the plate. Even though you throw that hard and you got that kind of stuff, if you throw it in the middle of the plate to major league hitters, you're going to get hit hard. And when you've had Tommy John surgery, that is the last thing that comes. It is your command, your feel for your pitches to be able to throw it in the strike zone. There are his first 8 starts this year. Remember, he missed all of last year with Tommy John. Outstanding start. ERA under 2, but over his last 4, 7 ERA. And he's given up his share of home runs. Slugging percentage high, and he's had his trouble with his lefties. But when you miss a year like that, coming back, talk to pitchers, and they said, it's the field, being able to throw the ball where I want to is the last thing that comes.
Martin, huge cut. And a very slow walk back down to the Jays dugout. That's the first strikeout for Harvey.
Well, I'll tell you, when you face the New York Mets and you are a right-handed batter, it could make for a long series because they are just loaded with right-handed pitching that are tough. It reminds me a little bit back in the 80s of the Detroit Tigers when they had Jack Morris and Dan Petrie back-to-back. Murder on right-handed batters. Just tough to get any kind of momentum going.
And Ezekiel Carrera now, left-handed bat, gets to face Harvey and looks at his fastball, 98. Colabello's at first, 2 down. Tried to drop a bunt down. Ground ball right side, up with the second baseman Herrera. He throws it to first, and that ends the Jays half of the second. They leave a man on board, but Harvey looks good.
bundles. Find out how. Call 1-888-ROGERS-1 now. Hurry, offer ends soon. Rob?
And you can use that internet and the credit there to keep track of the Blue Jays. A lot of Blue Jay fans made the trip not only to Boston but to New York to watch this 2-game series against the Mets before the Mets head north to go to Rogers Center. Flores, Siciliani, and Tejada to face Copeland. You know, you take a look at this lineup, Tabby, and you talk about how important pitching is. There are no big numbers jumping out in batting averages and home runs and runs batted in. They're just doing it with these young arms and just getting the job done. They're first in the division.
And play solid defense. Don't beat yourself. And if you're Terry Collins, you say, I'll figure out ways to score runs like they did last night. But you get that great pitching and that great relief pitching. It's deep. Tough to beat them. It's a tough combination. Here is the player with the most home runs, 10. And he's got 31 RBIs.
Drives this one into the gap in left center field. We'll get all the way to the wall. Flores with the leadoff double. Here to start off the bottom of the second. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell in an update. And the Blue Jays would like to get back in the win column and take advantage of the Marlins beating up on the Yanks. Leadoff double, though. Flores and now Siciliani. Left fielder hitting .263. Siciliani came in a pinch hit in last night's game.
Nelson Martin had some thoughts of maybe trying to pick off that runner at second base. Siciliani's probably got the bunt sign or swing away sign to try to advance that runner, and he does.
Swings away through the left side. The breaks go on for Flores at third. 2 straight hits.
The Blue Jays led off the second inning with the double and could not advance them. The Mets get a leadoff double in their half of the second inning, and now with the base hit are looking to break through. That's a sinker down and away. He doesn't try and pull it. He tries and pulls that. He rolls over, or maybe it's a shortstop right, or a ground ball to the shortstop. That time he just pokes it through the left side.
And Teufel stopped Flores. He thought about it. Runners at the corner.
Blue Jays are playing their infield, at least the middle of the infield back. They're looking for the ground ball. They'll trade a couple of outs for a run. Ground ball to Josh Donaldson, though, not so sure.
In tight, Ruben Tejada.
I tell you, Copeland's got a sinker, and he'll attack the strike zone. If he rolls over one to Josh Donaldson, I think Josh understands runs might be at a premium tonight against Matt Harvey, so he might want to cut that run down at the plate.
Tejada took a big swing at fastball. 2 balls and a strike. Flores is at third. Siciliani at first. Tejada may pulled something a little bit. He took a little bit of extra time there and backed off.
Held that ball off his foot.
Yeah.
That hard sinker.
Just trying to get the feeling back.
Right off of his foot. Blue Jays need a strikeout or a pop-up and then a ground ball.
Tejada, a 25-year-old, who's from Panama. 2-1, a ground ball to the left side. That will bring home Flores from third, and the Mets take the lead.
Right idea. They just could not execute the pitch. They wanted to go sinker one more time, and that'll make Tejada's foul off of his shin feel a lot better. They wanted to go inside down, try to get him to roll over that, but it's been up. This whole inning, all these sinkers have been up. You can see where that swing is, right about thigh high. And he shoots it through the left side.
Mets have something cooking. 3 straight hits, a double, 2 singles. And Tejada brings home Flores. 1-0 New York. Comes in tight now to Dilson Herrera, the second baseman. Hitting .255. Driven in 4 runs.
You know, not much you can do right here for the Mets. You got the pitcher on deck, so he's swinging away.
Herrera to Donaldson. There's 1, and there's 2. Let's check in again with Jamie Campbell.
Boy, it's been a rough year for the Phillies.
They can't do
already.
anything right.
Just 22 wins this year, the fewest in baseball.
I wonder, too, whether or not they're just going to start to turn things around and make some changes. Well, that's interesting. Encarnacion didn't go after it. That pop up in foul territory at all. Maybe he thought it was a little deeper. It's going to twist into the seats. 2 out, 1 run has scored. Tejada's at second.
Limit the damage. That's what you're trying to do right now if you're Scott Copeland.
This one driven into left center field. It will get all the way back to the track and will score. Tejada, an RBI double, gives the Mets a 2-0 lead. If Tejada scores, and thank you very much, Matt Harvey. Pitcher spot provides an RBI.
And it's not going to be able to limit the damage right there. Matt Harvey, 083, doesn't have an RBI until that at bat. It's a sinker, and he can't get the ball out in front. And you can see it doesn't sink. It comes right back over the middle of the plate. And Matt Harvey drills it into the gap in left center field. He's going to have to reach out and really bend forward, bend that back, and get the ball down. He's a sinker ball pitcher.
Interesting look on Harvey's face after making contact. Hey, that found space.
First RBI of the season for Matt Harvey.
He's got a 2-0 lead to work with as he stands at second. Comes back with a strike, 2-1 with the changeup.
Curtis Granderson's always had a very good eye. That's why he is batting leadoff for the Mets. He's tied for 7th in the National League in walks with 33. He'll have his share of strikeouts, but he'll walk. On base percentage almost 350 for Granderson.
Granderson. It's the off-speed pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball and lined in foul territory to Encarnacion. That ends the second inning, but not before the Mets score 2, including an RBI double by the pitcher. Goins, Copeland, Reyes, 2 up.
New show premieres on Sportsnet. Connect online 24/7 at Tim and Sid, and we should educate you right now on a little change to the Blue Jays coaching tonight. Tim Leeper is down at third base, and assistant hitting coach Eric Owens is doing the job at first base. Where is Luis Rivera, you ask? Well, Luis is actually attending his son's graduation and was given the night off. Well deserved for Luis Rivera. Congratulations to him, and we'll see Leeper doing the waving tonight, guys.
He's not foreign to third base right there. He was a manager in the minor leagues, and so he'll be fine. He'll be getting the signs from John Gibbons.
1,000 games now for Gibby as a major league manager. 495 and 504 is his record. As he puts Owens at first base.
We had a chance to talk to Gibby before the game today, and we asked him, do you remember much about that? That was in August of 2004. He said, yeah, Josh Towers beat the Yankees for his first win as a major league manager.
And then when you ask them, well, what stands out? Then instead of going with games or specific things, the only game you really mentioned was when they beat Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
It was the players that he's had.
Yeah, he mentioned the one that really stuck out was the Vernon Wells walking off Mariano Rivera, because that doesn't happen very often. He was very, he wanted to talk about the players, all the great players that he had. And I said, well, can you name a few? And he said, well, I don't want to leave anybody out, but Scott Rowland, he mentioned him, and Roy Halladay, Scott Schoenweiss, Johnny McDonald, and then the guys now, Donaldson and Burley, guys that he said are just gamers. They come, they bring it. He also mentioned catchers, of course, Rod Barajas, right? And Molina. He said, I don't want to leave anybody out because my players are my players, but he's had some special ones come through Toronto.
He likes Burley because he comes in, does his job, he's got your back. You know what you're going to get from him every game.
That's pretty cool. 1,000 major league games as a manager.
But just the look on his face when he said, congratulations on 1,000. Really?
Well, yeah, no. He was the second youngest Blue Jay manager ever hired. The youngest, Bobby Cox, in April of 1982. Bobby was 40 years old. Gibby was 42 when he was named manager.
Goins, Copeland, and Reyes trying to give the skipper something to smile about. His team is down 2-0 to the Mets. It's interesting. We were talking about Harvey's last 4 games and how the numbers have kind of shifted around after a brilliant start. And you said to me in a car ride over, after 2 tough starts, he really wants to prove something.
I think we saw the same thing in last night's game with Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard had given up 20 hits in his last 2 starts, and I think he had something to prove, and he was very good last night. I think the same thing can be said about Matt Harvey, who's been struggling his last couple of starts, so he wants to go out there and prove that everything's fine. He only had 2 strikeouts in his last start.
Got 1 tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Goins. The 2-2. Slap to short. Flores up with it. Even with the good speed, able to hit Goins the first out of the 3rd inning. Check in again with Jamie Campbell. Barry spoke to Bo Schultz, and Schultz is a Blackhawks fan. Said he was feeling pretty good today. He said despite the fact we lost last night, there was a bit of a silver lining with the Hawks winning.
Yeah, there's another guy who's pretty excited. We just couldn't hear him talk about it. Jerry Howard.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry's a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan. He was smiling a lot last night.
Jerry's feeling much better. Looking to be back in action. Boy, Copeland just swipes at that. There's Jerry. He said, what's it like? It's pretty cool. Just watching baseball. So you feel like a little bit like a spectator. Get him a hot dog, popcorn, he'd be ready to go.
He's right where he needs to be, right there, keeping score, keeping his eye on his Blue Jays.
A little laryngitis for Jerry, and he expects to be back in service. Hopefully for the Baltimore series.
Sounds much better.
Yeah, it does. This was the best I thought he sounded. Yeah. Never lifted the bat off his shoulder. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He's trying to do the same thing Harvey did. Well, Harvey had an RBI double, not for Copeland, as he goes down on strikes.
Made him work. Made him throw 6 pitches right there to record that strikeout. Second one tonight. And now Matt Harvey can go back, take a big deep breath here. Now he's got to deal with Jose Reyes. Jose spent 9 seasons here in New York playing for the Mets, but as a return player, as a visiting player here to New York, hasn't had a lot of success. Was the career .232 hitter, batting average versus New York.
Still some number 7 jerseys being spotted here at Citi Field. On 1, he watches into the glove. 2 balls, 1 strike. Gets under this. He popped up to short in the first, and again it is Flores who handles it, and that is all for the Blue Jays in the top of the 3rd. Harvey, pretty good groove.
All-Star game goes Tuesday, July 14th in Cincinnati, Ohio. Have a look at all these Blue Jays. You can make each and every one of them you see right now members of the starting lineup. But to do that, you have to get online and vote some more. Go to BlueJays.com. You have a maximum of 35 emails per person. And there is Josh Donaldson, and we've seen and heard from both Don Cherry and Stephen Emile, who have made huge campaigns to get Donaldson as a starter for the All-Star game, and he is definitely gaining ground, but still 1.6 million behind Mike Moustakas. So guys, girls, listen at home, vote, and get him in there.
At BlueJays.com, you can get your voting done. Josh certainly deserves to be there.
How about that? You see Edwin shaking his head just a little bit. There's just a sliver of sun now shining through, and he's standing right. He says, I can't see it. So he went and got the sunglasses. He's got them up on top of the hat right now. That's rare, isn't it? 8 o'clock, and you got to use your sunglasses. You see him right there. A little sliver coming down the left field line. if there's a runner on first base, he's not going to be able to see a pickoff from the pitcher.
Seems to be okay right now. It just comes over the top of the stands. The sun has kind of tucked behind a bit of cloud right now, so might not be as big of an issue as it was just 2 or 3 minutes ago when he took the field. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Juan Lagares.
It's a beautiful ballpark, isn't it?
Did a great job on it.
Beautiful.
Lagares right up the middle. Past the dying Ryan Goins and another leadoff hit. Sixth hit now for the Mets. Top of the 3rd.
Ground ball pitcher. They're finding holes right now. Again, just going to have to reach out and get that ball down, get that good sink going.
Shift goes on for Lucas Duda. Hit a single to center field. And Duda takes a strike. Chop foul down the first base side. Blue Jays would love Copeland to go deep in this game. They used 5 relievers last night. Delabar, Osuna, Luke, Cecil. Hendricks only pitched but 1 pitch, but he says he'd love to give some guys a bit of a rest.
Yeah, Gibby was talking about that before the game tonight, that the bullpen was beat up just a little bit, so they would love to see him go deep into this ball game. It's going to be interesting is if Duda hits a ground ball to the right side, it's going to be Josh Donaldson who is going to be making the pivot at the bag at second base. You can see there's Donaldson at straightaway shortstop.
Ground ball. Encarnacion takes that in foul territory.
Broken bats on that breaking ball, just a little bit too quick.
Well, that's a new piece of lumber too. That's clean. How big a bat did you use? How heavy?
34 inches, 32 ounces. As the season wore on, you would get a little tired, so you could drop down an ounce or 2. That looks like a typical size bat.
Change up, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He's got some power. You're going to have to make a pitch here. 2-2. He's got power. 9 home runs is pretty good in this ballpark. This is a big ballpark for a left-handed hitter.
On the move goes the runner. This one skied to left field. Palabello comes in. They're going to try to track down Lagares, and the throw's offline. He gets back. Uniform dirty in doing it. He got all the way to second, third base side of the bag at second, had to backtrack.
You know, I mentioned that Donaldson was going to have to take the pivot at second base. What a job decoying the runner, and he almost came up with the double play. Lagares was off on the pitch, and you can see Donaldson decoy him, thinking that he was going to steal the base, like he was going to put the tag on, and then he rounded the bag, and he correctly went back and tagged second base before he got back. Colabello almost came up with his first outfield assist. But a good job by Donaldson to decoy that runner.
Darno reaches on a fielder's choice, takes a strike with the slider. Had a 2-home run game against Atlanta, his third 2-run homer game of the season. Keith Hernandez, he's a pretty good hitter.
Yeah. Scouts that I have talked to really like him. They think he's going to be a good major league hitter on top of his defensive skills. He was a #1 pick. #1 pick of the Philadelphia Phillies back in 2007. 37th overall. So you know the talent is there. It's just taken a while for him to get here. You know why? He's been hurt all the time. hurt a lot in the minor leagues. He was hurt a couple of years that he was with the Blue Jays. And this time his development has slowed down.
Martin throws down the first. Getting his uni very dirty as Lagares, as he had to go belly down again. Well, since June of last year, when Darno was recalled from AAA, hitting .279, 13 homers, 46 runs batted in. As you mentioned, this season, base hit to left field. Darno has Lagares going to third, and they're throwing to second just to keep everything quiet. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell with an update. Darno puts runners at the corners, stands at first, Lagares at third, and Wilmer Flores, who had a double to lead off the second, came around to score the Mets' first run. Mets leading 2-0, bottom of the third, and got something percolating right now.
Yeah, they're all singles except for the double by Harvey. They're just finding the holes right now off of Scott Copeland. He can get out of it with one pitch.
Sending that into the seats quickly.
Flores has become a reliable RBI man for the Mets. We were talking the last time he was up about, finding holes and just getting enough offense. This guy's got 31 RBIs. That's the 5th most RBIs by a major league shortstop this season.
Fastball, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Sends this foul on the right field side. Flores is 23. He'll turn 24 in August. I think we just call him a baby-faced Mets. Fly ball, center field. Carrera looks at it, tagging. Is Lagares. He will come in, and that will score the 3rd run for the Mets. Nice job by Flores to bring in a run.
You know what? That's how you end up with the RBIs that Flores has been able to pick up this year. Again, the 5th most RBIs by major league shortstop with 2 strikes. Watch this swing. It's a breaking ball. Just get it in the outfield. He cuts his swing down. He choked up on the bat after he got the 2 strikes. He didn't want to strike out. He didn't want to hit a ball on the ground, so he shortened up, drove the ball to center field, and gets himself his 32nd RBI of the season. Good at bat.
Siciliani had a single in the 2nd inning. Hit his first career home run on Sunday against Atlanta. Fouls the first pitch away. Siciliani drives that to center field. Another base hit. 8th hit now for the Mets. Runners first and second.
7th single. That's going to bring Pete Walker out to talk to Scott Copeland. He is better when he is living on the edges. That's what he did against the Miami Marlins with his fastball, his breaking ball, living on the edges. He's got to stay out of the middle of the plate. Batters this year have been hitting over 440 against him in the middle of the plate, and that's where a lot of his pitches have ended up tonight.
Let's go field level with Barry Davis.
Well, guys, Scott Copeland is looking a little weary on the mound tonight. It may have something to do with what he went through yesterday just to get here to New York City. He was expected to pick up a flight yesterday morning from Buffalo. We got to the airport at 11 o'clock in the morning. He was there until 8 o'clock last night with all the flights being canceled or delayed. At that point, they decided to get him a car and have him drive from Buffalo to New York. By the time he checked into his hotel, got to bed, it was the wee hours of the morning. I imagine he got some sleep this morning, but I think his schedule got thrown off just a little bit by the travel from yesterday.
Well, the weather systems throughout the United States caused problems for Copeland, also caused problems for the Stanley Cup to get to the United Center in Chicago. Floods, and took forever.
We saw enough rain here over the last couple days, haven't we?
Ruben Tejada has been on a pretty good tear, hitting .333 over his last 15 games. Had an RBI single and a run scored in the second. 3-0 Mets. Runners first and second. Off-speed pitch. And 2 balls, 1 strike.
That's Bo Schultz, who is now starting to loosen up.
Comes back with the fastball, 2-2. That went foul in a hurry down the left field side.
Mets have been putting on some pretty good swings the last couple of innings. The ball just is not moving as much as he needs to. And it's in the middle of the plate.
Whoa, 3-2. 2 out, 2 on. And the runners will be on the giddy up. It's foul down the third base line. Three runs on 8 hits for the Mets. As they bat in the bottom of the third. Runners on the move. That's fouled back. Pitch at bat now for Tejada. And Copeland's up to 63 pitches. Three-two runners on the move, and the 64th pitch, the 10th pitch of this at-bat, retires Tejada. Leaves 2 runners aboard, but the Mets add 1 more. It's 3-0 after 3 at Citi Field.
Rangers at 1:07 p.m. and it is Blue Jays White Panel Hat Day presented by Jack Links. The first 20,000 fans will receive one of these great retro-looking hats. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets. And Tabby, I think we really got to get on that plea to get the Blue Jays to wear those like once a week or once a month.
How about day games?
Sure, that works.
At home, right? Day games at home, Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, little throwback days, right?
The sun is shining at Citi Field in Queens, New York. On the flight path to LaGuardia Airport. You'll hear the roar of the jet engines a couple of times throughout the game. Josh Donaldson to lead off the fourth inning. He flied out to right field.
I've seen a lot of quality so far in this game from Matt Harvey. You're talking about the quality of his pitches not being very good. His last few starts, pretty good. First time through against the Blue Jays.
He used to say he can get his fastball up to 97, been averaging around 96.
Remember, he was out all last season with Tommy John, so he's just coming back, and they want to watch those innings.
Donaldson with a fly ball now to left field. Siliani gets under it, makes the first out.
You know, there's nothing wrong with Matt Harvey's fastball. Look at this. The starter's miles per hour. Only Noah Syndergaard, his teammate, throws harder than Matt Harvey. There are some guys who throw hard. Nathan Eovaldi, Ordano Ventura, and we saw Joe Kelly on this road trip. Matt Harvey averages about 96 miles an hour, so there's nothing wrong with that. All the studies that have been done about Tommy John, and then you start talking to some of the pitchers about that, it's all about the feel. When do they get the feel back of their pitches? My breaking ball is not breaking like it did pre-surgery, so they try to invent something. Maybe they try to throw it harder, and that's when injuries start to happen. Everybody that I have talked to about Tommy John's surgery, it's the next year, after this year, where you start to feel 100% like you did before the Tommy John surgery.
And a ground ball to Tejada at third. He makes the throw across, and Bautista down. 2 up, 2 down. Harvey faces Encarnacion. He doubled in the second. Since this one foul. Edwin's got 52 interleague runs batted in since 2012, and that's the most in the majors right now. So,
and he hasn't been hot yet. No? He hasn't been hot yet this year. Not like we have seen him in the past, where he goes 2-3 weeks where he is hitting everything. You can see he's upset with himself right there. That was a hanging breaking ball right there, and he missed it. Timing is off just a hair. And that's going to cause you to roll over pitches. Watch this. Hanging breaking ball. And look at the reaction. Daggone it. Stay back. You know, I should have hit that ball.
Fastball. Away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I think it's just a matter of time for Edwin, where he starts to get red hot.
Boy, get him hot, and you've got Bautista hitting ahead of him. Donaldson before that. That 2-3-4. And turned out to be trouble. Ground ball to Tejada. The throw, digging it out nicely. Duda, and it's 1-2-3. Top of the fourth. On a gorgeous night in Queens. And right now, the hometown fans are enjoying it. They've got a 3-0 lead.
Presented by the 2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow, what a terrific shot. Statue of Liberty. Just off the Isle of Manhattan. When you come into Manhattan, you take the 7 train. You get right here to Queens Ballpark.
Did you take it?
No.
Okay. I checked. I checked at the concierge how to get out here, and they said, take the 7 train. Yankee Stadium, the 4 train.
Copeland working into the 4th inning. Gilson Herrera grounded into a double play in the 2nd. John Gibbons would just love Copeland to have a quick 4th. Third ball, hits the dirt, 2-1.
You like the Mets uniforms?
Yeah, they're classic, aren't they?
Do you know how the Mets uniform came about?
Well, as a former Met, you should have this in your memory bank. Right?
Well, think about the time. The Mets came around in the early 60s. Who just left town for this franchise or this city? The Dodgers and the Giants. The blue was taken from the Dodgers. It's a combination of Dodgers blue and the Giants orange. And they took those 2 colors and combined them to make the Mets. And you see that insignia on the, that's the takeoff from the San Francisco Giants. Well, they were the New York Giants back then. So the combination of those 2 teams leaving, the Dodgers and the Giants going out west. The New York City got a new team in the New York Mets.
That's a nice little tip of the cap then to it, isn't it? To the history of baseball in this area.
I think it's pretty cool. It's one of the most iconic for me uniforms in baseball. You got the Dodgers and the Yankees. I think the Cardinals, the Royals. I think they've never changed. They've never changed their uniforms. It's always been the same.
I know our producer Doug Walton loves the unis, loves the pinstripe.
Love the pinstripes. I thought that was pretty cool how they came up with the color scheme for the new team, the new expansion team in the early 1960s. Dodger blue and Giant orange.
Slow chopper. Copeland up, makes the flip, and now there's 2 out. As Harvey goes quietly. He wasn't going to go 2 for 2. He had a double in his first trip. And was pretty good in doing it.
That would be a fine right there if you get up 2 hits to the pitcher. Well, both of those outs, both of the pitches on the outs have been down, and he's gotten the ground ball back.
Curtis Granderson, 0 for 2, popped out to third. Soft line in foul territory to Encarnacion at first. Chase the changeup.
That's where you want to live, right down there. Tough to get that ball airborne if you're staying down there.
Hit backhanded by Encarnacion. The flip, and after a 1-3, how about a 3-1 to finish off? A 3 up, 3 down, 4th inning. 4 innings in the books. Mets lead 3-0. Let's join Blue Jays Central. Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn.
First Rewards MasterCard. You'll earn 5,000 first use bonus points redeemable for a $50 gift card from the shopping channel with no annual fee. Apply today. Rob?
Thank you, Barry Davis. Field level with Pat Taber. I'm Rob Folds in for Buck Martinez, and Buck is back in action tomorrow as he sees Neese and Hutchison, then Colon and Dickey, and he'll have fishtails to tell.
Many fishtails.
Chris Colabello grounded into a fielder's choice. His first at bat, that was in the second inning. Jays with just one hit. It was Encarnacion's double in the second. Colabello, Martin, and Carrera to face Matt Harvey.
Tell you, they got 2 hits in the first inning yesterday against Noah Syndergaard, and then did not get another hit until the 9th inning. And in tough once again tonight against Matt Harvey. Even base hits are going to be hard to come by when these guys are locked in like we've seen.
One ball, one strike. Colabello hits it, a slow roller, charging in Tejada. Colabello legs it out. An infield hit. Not pretty, but it puts a runner on the base paths, and it's only the second hit for the Blue Jays.
First base runner since Colabello had a fielder's choice. You can see how deep Tejada was playing, and his only chance was to barehand it and try and make the throw, but Colabello legs it out for the infield hit.
Russell Martin trying to see if he can keep things rolling. Struck out first trip to the plate.
Well, it's a good offense that the Blue Jays have. They lead the major leagues in extra base hits. They're third in the major leagues in home runs with 81. They lead in doubles with 136. There's just power and good hitting up and down this lineup, so you're never out of a game. I don't care who you're facing.
Scored 359 runs. First ahead of Texas. Texas has scored 293. So
yeah,
when they go, they can get them in bunches.
And they can strike at any time. You just have to really bear down right now. You got Matt Harvey, who is throwing bullets up there. There's timeout on the field as Chris Colabello. I don't know if something flew into his eye or something, but he asked for time over at first base. It is a humid night. You see every one of these players tonight really lathering up.
Got a shine on, yeah. 1-1, big cut by Martin. Fastball cooked in at 97.
It's such a free and easy delivery that you see from Matt Harvey, and all of a sudden that ball explodes on you. You always have to be wary of that good fastball.
The 1-2, Martin fouls it away. You talk about just even on this road trip, Tabby, the way the Blue Jays have been able to score runs. They had a 9-run seventh against the Red Sox, a quick 3-run second in the second game. It was the one that went into extra innings, and the big one was 6 runs in the fourth, 4 runs in the fifth, 3 runs in the seventh against the Red Sox in that finale on the Sunday afternoon.
Multiple run innings. They've had plenty of those already, and that's when the offense, the team is working together.
And then they run into somebody like Syndergaard last night, and that slows down the process.
Well, I'm a believer that good pitching stops good hitting. And when you're running into some of these guys, and they have to make pitches. Blue Jays, they're making them make good pitches, and they're having long at bats. But pitchers like this can shut down good hitting teams.
And there's a good pitch that got Russell Martin for the second time. Third strikeout on the evening for Matt Harvey.
changeup. And look at the downward movement that was a result of it. Gets on top of that one. There's another flamethrower. He had his best changeup, I thought, in last night's game, too. We were talking to some of the Mets. They're saying that that's a pitch that's developing, and it was a good one for him last night.
Ground ball up the middle, gets by a diving Flores. And Carrera puts runners at first and second with one out. Third hit for the Blue Jays, second this inning. Ryan Goins grounded out to lead off the third.
You see Travis d'Arnaud going through the signs right there, just in case the Blue Jays might try a double steal. Pitcher's spot is next, and the pinch hitter's already come out on deck. It's a big at bat right here for Ryan Goins and the Blue Jays. If he can find his way on board, they're going to get right back into this game.
Goins takes a cut.
You know, Ryan was successful in Boston by going the other way. Yeah, he turned on the ball and hit it into the stands in right field for a 3-run home run, but he had a lot of balls back through the middle, a couple of doubles to left center field. That might be a pretty good game plan right here.
Fastball's low, ball and a strike. 74 pitches for Harvey right now, 49 of them strikes. Tejada's even with the bag, third.
And that was just in case Goins thought about dropping down a bunt, and now with 2 strikes he can back up just a little bit. Outfield plays Goins the other way. They do not think he's going to turn around that fastball.
The 1-2 sails away. Strikes him out. 4th strikeout of the game for Harvey.
Make your renovation a cut above during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
As the sun starts to set in Queens, New York. Beautiful shot there, and a visit to the mound by pitching coach Dan Worthen.
All right, let's get a game plan going right here. He's thrown a lot of pitches this inning. Let's go over the game plan that we had for Justin Smoke right here. He's a power hitter. He likes to swing early in the count. He's a low ball hitter. And we're telling you that they've been making him work. It's been easy work, I think, for Matt Harvey. The fewest pitches per inning, Bartolo Colon, 13.9. Mark Burley, Toronto's own, and Matt Harvey. On top of the great stuff that he has, he makes quick work in and out. Very aggressive with that fastball.
Colabello's at second, Cabrera at first. 2 downs, and kind of bookended the hits around strikeouts.
Hey, that's why he went out there to remind him. He'll attack that fastball first pitch, so he threw him an off-speed pitch. Plus, they just wanted to give him a little bit of a breather. It's been a long inning. A couple of hits and a couple of strikeouts. We'll give him a little bit of a breather and go over the game report.
Smoke. An excuse me swing. Quickly the throw to first, and that ends hitting threat for the Blue Jays in the top of the 5th. They leave 2 aboard, and still a 3-0 Mets lead.
The inside story of Chicago's historic win, plus more than 100 photos and videos. This issue is free. Just download the Sportsnet magazine app. And one guy I think who will definitely want to read all about that is Bo Schultz. Had a chance to talk to him today, a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan, and he said it was really disappointing to lose last night's game, but there was a little ray of light when he went into the clubhouse and he got to see the last few minutes of the game and do a little bit of kind of discreet celebrating to see his Chicago Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup. Rob?
Bo Schultz, 3 games that he's been in. Now takes on the Mets in the bottom of the 5th.
What a job he did in Boston, where the Blue Jays just came from last time out. 2 2/3 innings. He only gave up 1 hit. He gave some multiple innings for that Blue Jays bullpen when the starter got knocked out early. Bo Schultz throws hard, good fastball, good slider. There are his numbers in 3 games this season, and he will face 2, 3, 4 for the New York Mets here in the 5th.
Lagares, Duda, and d'Arnaud. Single to lead off the 3rd, came around to score. Schultz comes in with a fastball for strike 1.
Nice slider right there. A nice little tight slider. As a hitter, that looks like a fastball down and away.
Two balls and 2 strikes now to Lagares, the leadoff man here in the bottom of the 5th. The Mets leading 3-0. Lagares fouls it back. Schultz was signed by the A's in 08 and Arizona in 2012, and he was claimed off waivers by the Blue Jays in October of last year.
Trying to get some pitching depth into the organization. Had a real good chance and almost made the team out of spring training. But then had to wait his turn when a spot opened up.
And a base hit right up the middle in the center field. And leadoff single by Lagares.
Well, Scott Copeland's night is over. Let's take a look at his pitching line. It took him 77 pitches. They got 4 innings, 8 hits, 6 singles, a couple of doubles, 3 earned runs, no walks, and a strikeout. A little bit different than the last time against the Miami Marlins. The Blue Jays were hoping that he would go a little bit deeper. He was pinch hit for last inning, so his night is over. Again, he was pinch hitting for Aaron Sanchez, who was placed on the disabled list and took Aaron's spot tonight.
Fly ball right field. Measuring it is Bautista. He gets under it. Gibbons said too that Schultz could be ready to come off June 21st, but likely they'll want to work him, Sanchez rather, they want to work him back in.
Well, it's going to take some time. Because he's been out for a while. It's been about a week since he has thrown. I mean, like really thrown, aired it out in the bullpen.
Had an MRI yesterday. It's just the strain of the lat.
So every time that he takes off, that he is out, that's how long it's going to take him to get back into physical shape.
I feel some side sessions might be all he needs to get back into gear, but likely won't go on the 21st. Which is wise. A young arm, you want to protect it.
Yeah, you want to be absolutely sure. And if he's shut down until the 21st, it's going to take him a while to get back into pitching shape.
Travis d'Arnaud with a man on, 1 out. Gets under it, sends it very high, and Ryan Goins tracks it into foul territory down the right side. And now 2 out. Very quick work there by Schultz against Darno, and by Duda and Wilmer Flores.
He's got a very good arm. Mid-90s fastball and a nice little tight slider. I think he's suited more for the bullpen where he is right now. He can give you multiple innings. He almost got 3 innings last time out. 2 2/3 for Schultz. His career high, his longest outing is 4 1/3. That was last August versus Kansas City. It's also the last time he's given up a home run.
Flores doubled and scored in the second. Runner on the move. Martin throws down. Not in time. Lagares swipes that.
Well, Lagares 4 for 6, now 5 for 7. This one was stolen off of the pitcher. High leg kick. And tough to throw out a runner like that. Watch him start to itch off. They just never got him to a complete stop. Forgot about him over there with 2 outs, so he steals the base. He is now in scoring position once again.
Two balls, 2 and a strike, rather 2 and 1 with 2 out, and Lagares at second. Pounds it low, but misses. Slider, 3 and 1. Ripped foul. Just past the Blue Jays dugout. Quick work by a Jays fan.
That's a little retro right there, isn't it? Going back, looks like a Bautista jersey. Let's say number 19 on there.
Let's see. Now he's going to tweet about it. The 3-2. Got him. So Schultz does the job coming in relief of Copeland. Gets a strikeout, leaves 1 on the base paths. And a bit of a smile for Bo Schultz as down on strikes goes Flores. produced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Jose Reyes still has quite a fan base here in Mets country.
Oh, he's such a popular player and an outstanding player. Look at the franchise ranks with the Mets. Stolen bases, #1 with 370, 99 triples. That's still a Mets record. He's second in runs, hits and doubles. He is up there third. David Wright holds so many of the Mets offensive numbers already, but Jose Reyes has been gone now for 4 years, and he still holds a lot of records for these New York Mets.
There was some encouraging news about David Wright. Perhaps he could make a return after the All-Star break. Suffering from spinal stenosis right now.
Yeah, that was mentioned, and then they quickly backtracked on that and said, wait a minute, now we're not real sure. But boy, that would really be a
boon to them.
Yeah, offensively, defensively in the clubhouse. Jose Reyes was talking about that the other day. What a great guy David Wright is, and a leader, and what he means to this Mets clubhouse and their offense and defense. Those two together came up right around the same time, played together on the left side of the infield.
Tejada on the pop-up by Reyes. Checking again with Jamie Campbell. And a long season gets longer for the Phillies.
Manny Machado's got a couple of home runs tonight. Chris Davis, Chris Parmelee,
A little bit of good news coming out of Boston, though. Their streak's over. They won 9-4 today.
And it took a cycle.
Yeah.
Right, to do it.
And the guy who plays all over, Brock Holt, got the cycle. First since '96, I think it was.
Yeah, John Valentin did it back in 1996 for Boston.
Josh Donaldson strikes that foul just above our broadcast location. Got into the upper deck and stayed. Seventh season for the Mets here at Citi Field now. Donaldson, ground ball to second. Herrera makes the second out.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
As the sun sets, Miss Ellis Island sails by. And the outfield grass, the NY for the New York Mets. And Jose Bautista, 2 ground ball outs.
Notice where that pitch was. Away. Stayed away from his power. He was grounded to second and grounded to third. Just get out there. Just get right on top of the plate and look for the ball away. They are not going to come inside. Not after what he did in last night's game.
Turned quickly for 2 home runs. He's driven in 40 on the season. Picked up home runs 12 and 13. One came against that young man. First inning. And then after that, Syndergaard just settled down.
19 out of 20 at one point. He set down. Just gave up a walk.
Bautista bends out of the way. Full count. The 3-2. Bautista reaches out, drives it, right center field. Back it goes. And at the track, reaching out, Lagares makes it, then drops it. And Bautista just keeps on running, slides into third. Lagares looked like he had a track down, and then it fell out of his glove. and Bautista stands at third.
That is the Gold Glove center fielder for the National League. Last year he was playing Jose in left center field, so he had a long way to go to try and run that one down. It looked like he might have had a shot at it. Watch where he was playing after Bautista crushes his ball to right center field. One more look to see where that fence is, and it's just out of his reach as he goes to reach for it.
Oh, looked like it may have even ticked off the glove that close. Yeah. Did it?
Oh, just a little bit, and then it will go as a triple.
2-out triple for Bautista. And Lagares has made some outstanding grabs in center field.
I just don't think he was anticipating Jose Bautista hitting a ball to right center field and hitting it that far.
That was a big gallop he was on, too.
It's 380, right in front of the 380 sign, in front of the bullpens. Just couldn't get it.
In the dirt for Encarnacion.
That is a home run in a lot of other ballparks, but not here. A little bit easier now to hit a home run, and that's relative easier. When this park first opened up, you had to hit it into the stands to get a home run.
Encarnacion just muscles that off the fists. The throw over in time as Tejada gets Encarnacion. That left Bautista at third. Jay still can't find a way to generate a run.
Select Rogers Ignite bundles. Find out how. Call 1-888-ROGERS-1 now. Hurry. Offer ends soon.
Citi Field, and you hear the cry, "Let's go Mets," quite often. The Blue Jay fans haven't had much to cheer about because of the work of Matt Harvey. Mets head north to Rogers Center. 2 games. Nice against Hutcherson tomorrow, and then the vets go on Thursday.
Yeah, the 40-year-olds get to go. Bartolo Colon and R.A. Dickey.
Bo Schultz working into the bottom of 6th, his second inning of relief. Siciliani, Tejada, and Herrera go up, and there is the starter on Thursday. Made a nice return here. Got a chance to talk to some old friends. Did R.A. Dickey.
And really enjoyed his time here. He was saying, I was reading an article in the paper today about how he respects this organization and the time that he had here. And had a lot of great memories and some success here.
He made a point of going back and talking to the clubhouse guys and a lot of the staff here just to say hello and shake hands again.
Front office. People that you see every day when you come to the ballpark. People behind the scenes. A class move.
Siciliani. take a look. A single to left, a single to center. 2 for 2 for the left fielder. Oh, excuse me, swing there. And Reyes snaps it over to first. And the Blue Jays head home after this 2-game set. But they'll get to see these guys again.
Yeah, they get the Mets 2 more times before the Orioles come to town. Then it's back down to Tampa Bay, back into the division with the Orioles in Tampa Bay, and then a long homestand to finish off June, actually. And then one more road trip before the All-Star break. Blue Jays out of Interleague until the end of July. They'll face Philly a couple times and then go to Philly and then go to Atlanta. Interleague will be over then.
I know you and Super Stats man Scott Carson were talking about pitchers they might see down the road for Baltimore and for Tampa.
Yeah, you try to look ahead.
See who you might get a look at.
So you might get Baltimore sent Wei and Chen down to the minor leagues today. So that might change things up just a little bit. I know I've looked a little bit further ahead to that next road trip, and Chris Archer is scheduled to pitch against the Blue Jays on Tuesday of next week. And that's never any fun.
Tejada started his night with an RBI single and a run scored in the second, struck out in the third. And you did see on that upcoming schedule the day off a week from Thursday. Stroke by Tejada, center field. Backing up is Carrera. Backpedaling makes the second out. So Schultz has done a pretty good job here in the bottom of the 6th.
National League ballparks like this, if you can get through the lineups until your spot comes back up around to hit, you can pinch hit for it. So that's a good thing. You pitch as long as you can until your time comes up, and then you can go to the bench. This spot should be coming up soon.
Still got Colabello, Martin, Cabrera, and Goins before the pitcher spot. So a little room for Schultz to work. Blue Jays try to generate some offense. Herrera has a couple of groundouts. Out one line, a hot shot to Donaldson, and that ends the bottom of the 6th. 3 up, 3 down. Good effort by Bo Schultz. Nice D there as Donaldson. Good reaction. Reaches out the extension. 6 in the books. 3-0 Mets.
The Blue Jays host the Orioles at 1:07 p.m. The Junior Jays outdoor program is back. Join us pregame outside Gate 10 for inflatables, activities, and lots of fun. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Go to BlueJays.com for more. Gentlemen, the Blue Jays had better hope the Orioles have gotten all this offense out of their system by then. They are beating up on the Philadelphia Phillies tonight, 14-1. It's only the bottom of the fifth.
Oh, they'll be exhausted by the time they get to Toronto.
You know who's not playing for Baltimore tonight? Adam Jones is not even in the lineup, and they've got 14 runs. Take that.
Colabello, Martin, and Carrera as Harvey works into the seventh. "97 pitches to this point for Matt Harvey. Given up just 4 hits, struck out 4.
And his spot is leading off next inning, so this will probably be his last inning if he has an easy inning.
And you take a look in that one column, there's not a walk to be seen by Harvey.
No base on balls in just 4 strikeouts. But he's got a share of ground ball outs tonight. He has kept the ball down. Now, if he runs into trouble and it becomes an extended inning, they've got some work going on in the bullpen, some action out there. They can use the double switch then, and it doesn't matter. Pretty good pitch there.
And just locks up Colabello. And there's strikeout number 5.
He was talking about his last couple of outings, his fastball. He was throwing it right down the middle of the plate. Tonight, I haven't seen that. He has really painted that corner right there. That's a good pitch right on the outside corner. A little comeback fastball. Still throwing pretty hard.
Russell Martin's got 2 Ks next to his name. Curveball misses. Takes a fastball now. 1 ball, 1 strike. Slider.
Little backup slider. This is about 100 pitchers or so. The Mets, they like to keep their young starters. They don't want to go too far over that. The most pitches that Matt Harvey has thrown this season as he gets Russell Martin for the 3rd time is 107. He did that back on April the 25th. And he's still throwing hard.
Make your renovation a cut above during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Outside Radio City Music Hall, downtown New York City. Shooting a television series right across from Radio City today. And look, Batman. Carrera, 1 for 2.
That's the Dark Knight here in Gotham.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe Harvey knows that his spot's due up, just finishing on a high note. Carrera tried something different.
Just trying to get something going here. He singled last time up. Get something going here for the Blue Jays. Tough to bunt with 1 strike. And now the fans, I think, are sensing that this might be the last inning for Matt Harvey.
Some of them are standing. It's been a pretty good effort by 33. Carrera sends that high center field on the run. Lagares backing up, backpedaling. 1, 2, 3 in the 7th. And the fans are on their feet for Matt Harvey as the Mets have a 3-0 lead.
Daily coverage, headlines, analysis, and schedules. Visit sportsnet.ca/Blue Jays or join the conversation at Sportsnet. Great article today by our own Shai Davidi in light of what has gone on with the Houston Astros having their systems hacked by other teams. The Blue Jays have added extra security as a precaution just to make sure this doesn't happen to them. And Tabby, I imagine stuff like this didn't happen the way it is now back in the days that you were playing when they had everything written down on paper and locked away in a box, probably.
How about the Stone Ages? They didn't have computers back then when we played.
Intercept the facts.
Nothing to it. Ryan Tepera is going to take over for Bo Schultz. What a job Bo did. 2 innings, a hit, and a strikeout. Blue Jays actually used a double switch there after Carrera flied out to end that inning. Tepera, no record this season, but has done a nice job coming out of the bullpen. There's the double switch as Kevin Pillar comes in to play center field. He will be penciled in the number 9 spot in the batting order. Kevin will hit second next inning. The pitcher spot goes into the vacated Carrera spot, which was number 7 in the batting order.
John Mayberry Jr. takes a strike from Tepera. Ryan got some work on Sunday in Fenway Park.
Yeah, he threw multiple innings also for the Blue Jays. Was throwing very hard. Good fastball, a good slider that afternoon. He only gave up 1 hit, a walk and a strikeout in his 2 innings of work in that game.
The Jays trying to keep the Mets bats quiet and see whether or not they can generate something. Running out a little bit of racetrack here.
Yeah, it's getting late. It's getting late. Now you're going to have to deal with that Mets bullpen.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Mayberry hitting .209. He's hit 3 home runs, driven in 9. And he goes down on strikes. Strikeout for Tepera. Let's join Jamie Campbell with an update. Love to take advantage then.
Tampa Bay, Jamie mentioned that they're getting hammered. How about 10-1? They're losing to Washington.
One in the 6th. And that's the 6th inning with Miami leading the Yankees 11-0.
I think we might see some position players tonight. Throw some innings, save some of those arms and some of those blowouts.
And some of the outfielders say, give me a chance.
Absolutely.
Give me a chance. Shift for Granderson. Ground ball. Backhanded by Encarnacion. He waves off Tepera to make the 2nd out. So Copeland went 4 innings. Schultz came in 2 innings of relief. Now Ryan Tepera working, 2 out. Lagares is 2 for 3 with a run scored. Swiped second base his last at bat, singled, and then got stolen base number 5 on the season. Lagares, hot shot, handling it was going very nicely done to save that, and it's 3 up, 3 down. Quick work by Ryan Tepera through 7. New York 3, Toronto nothing. Canada's best-selling car 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
You know, Matt Harvey is not just a great pitcher. Tonight he's showing off the bat. He takes this pitch from Scott Copeland and he drills it into the gap. That is his first RBI. As Matt Harvey, that was back in the second inning, plating Tejada for his first RBI, so he can do it with the bat. And tonight he's also doing it with that prized right arm. 107 pitches, 7 innings, just 4 hits against the Blue Jays. No earned runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. Matt Harvey was doing it all, so he will give way now to Carlos Torres. We saw Torres in last night's ball game, the right-hander with a good sinker. Lively fastball, good curveball, solid cutter. He pitches down in the strike zone. He's very fearless. He will pound that strike zone.
And starts against Ryan Goins with the curveball. Strike 1 to Goins. Grounded out and struck out. That curveball misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. Harvey just 4 hits. And that's all.
We got a double from Encarnacion to lead off the second. He was stranded. We had a 2-out triple by Bautista. That was in the 6th inning.
And just 2 singles in the 5th.
Yeah, one of them an infield hit by Colabello. And now you're going to take on that bullpen.
Up high, ball 4. Leadoff walk.
Now that's a good start right there. Torres comes into this game and will now face Pilar. This is a bullpen that has the 3rd best ERA in the National League.
And now Worthing coming in very quickly to talk to Torres.
That didn't take long.
No.
After struggling in the month of May, Kevin Pillar has been outstanding. You can see the April-May numbers, but in June, the light switch has gone on. He has really worked hard with Eric Owens and Brooke Jacoby, the hitting coaches for the Toronto Blue Jays, just trying to find something to snap him out of those problems that he was having, and it obviously worked. The on-base percentage at .360. He looks a little bit more relaxed at the plate and slowing things down. In May, he was swinging at a lot of pitches that were outside the strike zone. He's brought the ball back down over the plate, and he has looked very comfortable.
Cashed in 29 runs. Cabrera started in center, giving Pilar a little bit of rest.
Boy, this is important for the Blue Jays. The bottom of the lineup once again. We saw it for 3 days in Boston. Set the tone for the Jays when they got on and they flipped that lineup back around. That's when the Blue Jays did a lot of damage.
This one, little flare into right field. It will get down. Runners at first and second here in the top of the 8th.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Life Building, Manhattan. A 25-minute drive from Queens and Citi Field, where the Jays have 2 runners on. Top of the 8th inning. Darno coming out, setting the defense. Jose Reyes, top of the order. Jose's been getting under. He's popped up 3 times.
Well, they're throwing nothing but off-speed pitches to Jose Reyes. They have looked at the scouting report. There are the runners in scoring position this season for Reyes. They've looked at the scouting reports and they find out that he is just mashing fastballs, especially fastballs up in the strike zone. So they have just thrown him nothing but off-speed pitches.
Ground ball foul down the first base side. Blue Jays were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position last night. Take a look at the Mets team ERA, 3.53, fourth in the National League. Take a look at the teams ahead of them: St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Los Angeles. St. Louis having a great season.
They won again today.
Reyes, ground ball through the right side. Goins got the stop sign. Oh, there's got trouble. It's running right through was Pilar. He just kept rolling past second. When the stop sign went up for Goins, he put the brakes on. Pilar kept going.
Oh boy, that could be really bad. First of all, the pitch, not a very good 0-2 pitch, but I told you he's been hammering that high fastball. And they elect to go up there, and then Reyes smokes it into right field. Yeah, Granderson leads his team in outfield assists with 4. They put up the stop sign, and then Pilar is stuck right in between second and third base. There's nothing you can do right there. A big out recorded by the Mets. As 2 runners are at third base.
Well, that makes the Mets fans a little happier.
One more look. Goins is giving Tim Leeper a good effort, but then he puts the stop sign on, and as you can see, Pilar did not pick up the coach. He's going to try and score in that single, but then has to put the brakes on, and then recognizes his buddy Pilar is right behind him. So
he tried to send him back, tried to wave him back, but it was too late.
Blue Jays ran into an out there. That was too bad, because now you got Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion coming up.
First and third. Goins at third. Reyes at first.
3-0. How about a 2-0 breaking ball? Blue Jays desperately trying to get that go-ahead run to the plate, and he's standing on deck. This has been a problem for the Mets all year long. An 8th inning man to get the Familia.
3 balls, 1 strike to Donaldson in the top of the 8th. Takes high inside, and that loads them up. Oh, and here comes the skipper. 2 walks by Torres in his work, and they're going to go to the pen.
using hashtag TD Tuesday and tag at Blue Jays for a chance to win one of 5 trips to Toronto.
Well, you want to be in a good position. How about this? Bases loaded. Jose Bautista to face Bobby Parnell.
Bobby Parnell, you can see he's only had 2 games this season. He was the closer for the Mets. He had 22 saves in 2013, and then had Tommy John surgery April of 2014. He tried platelet-rich plasma injection for a partially torn ligament in his elbow. That didn't work, and then 6 days later, he had Tommy John surgery, began the 2015 season on the disabled list, and now has just been trying to work his way back in. A sinker-slider type of pitcher, an overhand slider, which is a nice swing and miss pitch. There are the bases loaded right there with just 1 out. And the guy you want at the plate right here.
He had a triple at his last at-bat. Goins, Reyes, and Donaldson around the base paths. Parnell delivers his first pitch. It's a fastball.
90 miles an hour when he was healthy. He could run it up there in the upper 90s with a sharp slider. Right there, it looked like Jose was taken all the way just to gauge what Parnell was going to look like.
But after seeing what Bautista did last night with his 2 home runs, you know that Parnell's going to be very, very careful.
I'm going to try to keep that ball in the outer half. Bautista, good time, a good at bat his last time up, driving that ball to right field. He took what Matt Harvey gave him, which was fastballs away, stayed on it, drove the ball to right field.
Bautista gets under it. Shallow right field. Granderson makes the play, tagging and sliding in belly down for the first run. Ryan Goins gets the Blue Jays on the board. It is now a 3-1 game.
Bautista with RBI number 41, a triple and a sacrifice fly. Just got underneath that one a little bit. And now with the home run threats that the Blue Jays have, you still have a chance to take the lead with 1 swing.
Well, we've been talking about if this guy starts to heat up, look out. Doubled in the second, is grounded out twice to third.
He has faced Parnell in the past. He's faced him 4 times. He's still looking for his first hit.
Reyes at second, Donaldson at first. Takes a hack at it with the slider and misses. 1 ball, 1 strike.
There's that swing and miss breaking ball right there from Parnell. Evan's going to make a note of that one. $24,543 Citi Field. Getting a chant of Bobby, Bobby going as they face Edwin Encarnacion. Encarnacion rips that to left field. It drops in. Reyes rounds third. It's an RBI single of the Blue Jays. Trail by just 1. Maybe Edwin Encarnacion is starting to get it together. He ripped a double his first time up off of Matt Harvey to left field, and this time gets one from Parnell up in the strike zone. And doesn't miss it. Sinker, he gets on top of that one and rips it into left field for an RBI hit. That's Edwin's 38th RBI of the season. A chance to get Reyes at the plate. And now that go-ahead run is at first base.
Chris Colabello, 1 for 3. Had an infield hit in the 5th. Used the slider. Lots of space in left center.
Lots of room. If he could gap one right here, Blue Jays might be able to take the lead.
Colabello. It's another half.
You know what makes Chris Colabello such a good hitter and why he is hitting .345 coming into this game is because he can hit the ball where it's pitched. You can see hits by direction. 22 back through the middle. 16 to left field, 14 to right field. If you pitch him away, he shoots the ball the other way. You pitch him in, he can pull the ball. He's already had 1 hit tonight. That was an infield single. Now a chance for the Blue Jays to tie it up with 1 swing.
0-2's away, and Darno, make sure that doesn't get too far away from him. Three sliders. The 1-2. Skips in.
He's an intelligent hitter. He's done his homework. He has an idea. It looks like Cardell's trying to get that breaking ball, trying to get Chris to fish after that breaking ball.
Mets faithful on their feet with 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on. Blue Jays have scored 2. Top of the 8th.
Let's talk about
it.
Right? This is a big pitch. He doesn't want to go to 3-2. We saw what happens when pitchers go to 3-2 with 2 outs and runners on base. We saw that last night. So if he wants to get it out, this is the pitch he wants to do it with.
Encarnacion takes his lead at first. Donaldson is at second. Parnell's set. And he gets Colabello. Leads 2 aboard. Mets survive a scare. They lead by 1. Let's go to Jamie and Greg, Blue Jays Central.
Line before you go to bed and vote as many times as you can. Let's get Josh Donaldson to the All-Star game as a starter. He still trails Mike Moustakas by over 1.5 million votes, but we've got an entire country working for us right now, and as well the rest of the world, thanks of course to actor Stephen Amell, who told everyone last night to get online and vote as well. So there's still lots of time, but if you want Josh Donaldson to be on the All-Star team and start, go to BlueJays.com and cast your votes.
New man for the Blue Jays taking over from Ryan Tepera.
Roberto Osuna, once again for the Blue Jays. This is his 28th game of the season. Roberto pitched in last night's game, a very clean inning, 1 inning, a strikeout against the Mets. Sterling numbers right there, 212 earned run average, 29 2/3 innings for Osuna. 31 strikeouts and just 9 walks all season long. He is under control, and the reason they have him in this ball game once again is they're going to be facing the middle of the lineup, the best hitters that the Mets have to offer. So John Gibbons goes to his hot rookie.
Lucas Duda, the first baseman, singled, flied out twice.
Last night's ball game, Osuna only threw 14 pitches to get through that inning, unlike his last couple of outings where they've been a little bit longer. Before last night, he pitched 3 days before that. He pitched on the 12th through 24 pitches in 1 inning. The time before that, 3 days before that, he threw 27. So a little bit more efficient in last night's game, so he should be fresh.
Duda gets under it. Into left field. Colabello handles it. Well, the Blue Jays, after their 11-game win streak, got right back into the mix. The streak ended last night, but the Rays and the Yankees in some trouble. They're not going to tighten up the race.
Tampa Bay is getting hammered tonight. The Yankees are getting hammered 11-1. Baltimore is winning again. They're winning big. It looks more like a Ravens-Eagles game, 17-3. But the Blue Jays right there. They've got to figure out a way to break the hearts of the Mets, just like the Mets did to them last night.
And Osuna deals to Travis d'Arnaud. Serves up a fastball. And Osuna now ahead on Arnaud. Oh, got him looking. Strikeout for Osuna as d'Arnaud just watched that.
You know, that's been a pitch that's been so good. Look at him carry that fastball through the strike zone. Usually as a hitter you see maybe some movement, maybe it's going to drop down because of lack of speed, but he just powers that ball right by him.
Wilmer Flores. The sac fly in the 3rd inning. This one, he hops up. Foul territory. Encarnacion drifting. And it's a 1-2-3 8th inning. So the Blue Jays trailing by 1 go to the 9th, trying to see if they can get something going against the Mets at Citi Field. some rally caps going on for the Blue Jays faithful here in Queens at Citi Field. Mets with 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Blue Jays 2 runs. They came in the top of the 8th on 7 hits, no errors.
And they're going to have to do it against Bobby Parnell. You got to figure that Familia is down. The closer for the New York Mets. He threw in last night's game an inning and a third, 29 pitches. That's back-to-back days for him. An inning and a third. So you got to figure that he is down or he would be in the ball game. So it's up to Bobby Parnell again, who was a closer. Had some closing years here. Had 22 saves a couple of seasons ago.
3 strikeouts for Russell Martin. Bad time for him to snap out of it. Rips it foul.
The third baseman is right on that line for plays just like that. No doubles. You don't want anything between you and the foul line. You can see the third baseman Tejada right there, just a step off the line.
Fastball held on it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I think he was looking for the breaking ball from Parnell.
Parnell was feeding up a steady diet of the slider when he first came to the mound. The 1-2 up high, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Tried to reach back for a little something extra right there. Got underneath that one. Pitcher's spot is scheduled next.
And Navarro with a bat. Martin. Foul again, third base side. Martin, ground ball, slow roller, up with it, the shortstop, Flores makes the play. For a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central, Ken Reed, Ivanka Osmak, let's join EO and Ken. Well, they better change their password, is what I say. Yeah. You can't go with Astros 15. You have to change it. Deoner Navarro comes in to pinch hit in the 9th inning. 1 down. And then uses the off-speed pitch, the slider. Deoner's hitting .229.
Breaking ball. There's the swing and miss breaking ball. He has faced Parnell a couple of times in his career. And he's still looking for his first hit.
Not going to get it there. 2 outs. Swing and a miss. Parnell's second strikeout. And a vitally important time here. Top of the 9th. 2 out.
Overhand breaking ball. You don't throw it for a strike when you're ahead 0-2 like that. You don't necessarily bounce it in the dirt, but you just keep it off of the plate. He does, and he gets a strikeout.
Mets fans starting to get the sense that this one is nearing the finish line. 2 out. And Ryan Goins walked and scored in the 2-run 8th. outside, ball one. 1-1. Cornell delivers. Goins fouls it away.
Well placed fastball down and away. Cardell ranks third in team history and holds with 56. They're looking for a save right now. He does not have a save this season. This should be his first one of 2015.
Fans on their feet. Up high. Fastball.
Rushed it just a little bit.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Top of the 9th with the Mets leading by 1. Getting under it. Goins calling for it. Siciliani and the Mets take 2 from the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays are now 0-11 in their career at Queens.
Okay, now they face some tough pitching. They face Syndergaard, who was tough last night, and then they get their ace, Matt Harvey. So you're running into some very hot, some very good pitchers. Now Blue Jays have a chance to return to favor as we head back to Toronto. We get the Mets a couple of more times up there. They were hot. Maybe you can start that another win streak tomorrow.
The good pitching held up for 2 games at Citi Field. Mets take 2 from the Blue Jays, 3-2. Sportsnet Central is up next with Ken and Ivanka.